Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us here on the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. My name is Louisa Havers, and I help high achievers, entrepreneurs, and coaches lift the lid on life and business so that they can live at their highest value. Each episode, we will bring you our favourite founders, CEOs, and guest experts to share with you their insights and strategies to expand your wealth consciousness, your spiritual leadership, and aligned business strategies. We know that living in alignment with your soul's mission is what fulfills you, and we are here to show you how to achieve this in an energetically aligned way. If you haven't already, be sure to claim your free abundance activation in the Akashic Records. Go to louisahavers.com/gift to unlock your abundance activation today. And if you'd like my support in having aligned success in life and business, then contact me at www.louisahavers.com and let's explore together if it's an aligned match. Get ready to live at your highest value and to expand into your next level of money as you elevate and receive more. You create more for others. Righty ho, let's dive into today's episode. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our episode this week. I am so excited for our conversation today. Welcome, Jordan Tait.
Thank you, Louisa. I'm so happy to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. So I'm going to share your bio just so everyone can get to know you a little bit, and then I just can't wait to dive in. So Jordan Tait is a business and lifestyle coach who has guided hundreds of owners and leaders on how to escape the grind while growing their business. He's experienced the highs and lows of entrepreneurship from all angles as an owner, coach, consultant, and CEO. And today he leads the intentional business where he provides coaching to help owners create more income, freedom, and balance as they grow their business without working more hours. Oh, I think that's why everyone's going, yes, please, I want that. A huge welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to talking about this with you. I know your audience is very on the same page and aligned with the message. So it's going to be a great conversation.
Absolutely. I've started asking everybody this question, so I'd love your take on it. And because we are the Infinite Prosperity Podcast, to understand what prosperity means to you.
Sure. For me, prosperity is connected with abundance and possibility. So it's having enough of what you need and a little bit more to live the life you want to live and to contribute what you want to contribute to the world.
Ah, yes. I love it. I love it. I think it is. It's all areas of life. It's not just around the financial side of things that often we can initially think it is. I would love to hear a little bit about your story, because I believe that everyone has a story about, why are they in business? How did they get to do the business that they're doing today? So what's your story? How are you doing what you're doing today?
Yeah, it's been a really interesting journey so far. And what's most fascinating, I think, is that I never intended to end up where I am. There was no plan, there was no clear roadmap. I started really on my entrepreneurial journey in university. I started a painting business as a way to pay for school and work through the summers. And as I got through university and finished my degree, my business had become more viable than the career I thought I was going to go into through my school.
Oh, wow.
And yeah. So I kept it going when I graduated, and the whole point of my business at that time was to make enough money to live the life I wanted to live, but also to have the flexibility and the freedom to travel, which was my biggest priority in life in my early 20s. So I was working really hard, 8 months a year, saving every single dollar I could. And then the other 4 months a year, when it got to be winter in Canada, I'd fly off to Europe or Asia or Central America or wherever I could. And I'd spend 4 months backpacking and basically work through all those savings and, have all those big, rich experiences of travel.
Oh, wow. Which was your favorite place to go? Just as an aside, I love traveling.
It's such a good question. It changes all the time. For me, it's always been Italy and Spain, just for the food and the culture and the history. That's all really important to me. But in Asia, I loved Vietnam, and in South America, Colombia has been my favorite so far.
Oh, wow. I can feel like everyone's probably writing down their next holiday destination now.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all on my list as well. I think you just can. It's just so enriching being able to travel the world, isn't it? And really get a different perspective on things. Um, let's kind of dive into your message now, because one of the things that I know is really key for you is around intentionality, and that's something that our listeners will have heard me talk about as well. So, what does being intentional mean to you?
Yeah, so my business is called The Intentional Business. And the reason I chose intentional is because it means making deliberate choices about what's most important to you in life and going after them. So, in terms of a business, an intentional business, it means building your work and your business in a way that fulfills the goals you have in life, whether that's travel or freedom or income or whatever else you want out of your work, means really building the business to provide those things.
Makes so much sense, because it's otherwise we can end up just creating another job for ourselves if we don't take into consideration everything that we want to create. One of the things that can really come up for entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you've seen this in, with working with your clients and, colleagues, etc., is where we can see people ending up, and I think this is a huge fear for people as well, but ending up overworked, overwhelmed by what's going on in their business. What's your take on this? Why are so many people, entrepreneurs, owners, ending up in this space of being overworked and overwhelmed and all those things?
Great question. Over the last 7 years, I've coached hundreds of owners in a huge variety of industries and at all sizes of business, from day one startup all the way up to tens of millions of dollars. So I've had a lot of time to really study and connect with entrepreneurs who are going through that journey. What I've seen in the early days of the journey, why people get overworked and overwhelmed, is because at first, to launch a business, it's a sprint.
Mm,
You've just got to go all in. You've got to push. You've got to build something out of nothing.
mm.
And it's all you. So every hour you put into the business creates more results. But what changes is there's this plateau most people reach where they can't work any more hours. And that's different for every person, whether it's 60, 70, 80 hours a week. Most entrepreneurs hit that ceiling and then they realize their business can't keep growing through them putting in more hours and they have to change their approach. The challenge is when you're in that place, it's really hard to stop, pull back, reassess, and change direction. And so it's easier said than done. And the other reason it's a hard place to be is because to go from 0 to 1, when you hire that first employee and you start getting work done through someone else, that's one of the hardest transitions in business. Significantly harder than doing 10 to 15 million. It's that first big leap as a business owner. So what I've observed through all the years of coaching and working with leaders is the ones who get stuck and they feel overworked and they feel overwhelmed and they don't know how to escape are still trying to do it all themselves, are still attaching their results to just their inputs, the hours they work. And the ones that escape that and escape the grind, grow big businesses, have that freedom, are the ones who learn to grow through other people, who learn to grow through systems, and who change their role constantly based on what the business needs.
That's such a good point. As you were sharing that, I was thinking about all the clients that I've worked with and who moves more quickly than others. And it is the ones that are ready to hire that first person have moved more quickly, because they have been able to take themselves out of, the bottleneck that they've created. And I know when I started my business, I think one of the, the shocks for me was, where is my team? Because I come from corporate with a huge team with a VA. I've had a VA for a PA for years. So I was very quick to hire as soon as I could, because I was more used to having having team members to work with than not. But I completely agree. I think that is such a key point, and I love your reflection that that's the kind of the hardest bit, because I think people can sort of slow themselves down with those first initial hard pieces, thinking, well, the things that follow are going to be even harder, rather than that piece being the sticky point.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a very important transition. And that's where I believe your business goes from being a sprint, just to get it to the point where you can afford an employee and start to grow together, to a marathon. And that's when you need to change your approach to working. Because what what happens, I've seen unfortunately a lot of businesses fail, people burn out and close, is
Mm.
because they can't keep up the workload. They can't keep up the grinding, and they have to stop. And that's really unfortunate because those first few years you put in so much. And if you don't make it past that, which unfortunately a big percentage of small businesses don't, then it's almost all for waste. But that's where I think of shift your approach, work fewer hours, work on the things that matter most to you, hire out support, and stop trying to wear every hat in your business, you know? Stop trying to be a marketer, salesperson, recruiter, customer service, admin, bookkeeper. The list goes on, and we try to do it all, and then we wonder why we're failing.
Yes. That's so true. So true. How can people then, what are some of the things that entrepreneurs can do so that they are able to start to make that shift to work fewer hours, to be able to create ultimately it's more balance and harmony in their life so that they're not at risk of burning out and losing it all.
Yeah, exactly. It really comes down to 4 things. It's all about taking more control of your time and the results that you get from it. So I always start with clients on what are your top priorities? 3 top priorities in business, which is the strategy of how you're going to grow your business, and then 3 top priorities in life, which is what's the point of all the work you're doing if you're not enjoying your life outside of that? And once you have clarity on those priorities, it makes it a lot easier to streamline what you're working on. Because if it's not contributing to those priorities, then it's not helping you achieve your goals. So, number one is set clear priorities in business and in life. And personally, I always build my business around my life priorities rather than the other way around, because that's the way that you can ensure they get hit. Second one is set healthy boundaries, both with yourself between how you're going to show up in your job and in your work. And so boundaries between when are you going to stop work? When are you going to take breaks and vacations? When are you going to say no to that extra request from a customer or a client or an employee? Those are really key to protecting your time. And then third is owning your schedule. And this is one of the greatest benefits of being your own boss and being an owner is you get to create your ideal schedule. But so few people actually do that or take advantage of that benefit. They end up just filling their schedule with whatever comes up, saying yes to everything, and at the end of the day wondering, why didn't I get the important things done that I wanted to? So owning your schedule and creating that ideal flow of how you want to work is one of the biggest differentiators in how people succeed. And then lastly, it's all about understanding what's my personal definition of success and is the way I'm working facilitating that. It's okay to grind when you need to if it's helping you get towards your goals. But if you're just working really, really hard, chasing the things that are important to other people but not to you, that's where people lose the satisfaction and the meaning.
And it becomes more stressful then, doesn't it? If the meaning's starting to go, you're feeling exhausted because you're doing more grinding than you are in terms of being able to have moments of having a bit more balance back. It's like sometimes there's points in the business where you kind of need to go back into a little bit of a sprint, but it shouldn't be a forever sprint. It just needs to be a little sprint just to get you to that next bit of growth or whatever, so you can balance out again. I love what you were saying about essentially having a sort of filter that you make decisions through so that you comes back to that intentionality that you were talking about, being really intentional about how you're spending your time. Because I think there's so many competing demands on entrepreneurs. We've got inbox emails, social media coming in, so many different requests. It's like making sure that we're focused on doing the things that are actually going to make the difference and ignoring the noise.
Yeah, I believe most entrepreneurs don't have a lack of time because we all have the same amount of time. What they have is a lack of focus.
Mm.
And focus is something that's becoming harder and harder to maintain in the world today. As you mentioned, social media and phones and apps and everything else. So again, a big differentiator I've seen between entrepreneurs and owners who really grow and keep growing and the ones who get drowned in the day to day is the amount of focus that they bring to the important things in their work. So setting a top priority each day, knowing when their best work period in the day is, when do you have the most energy and focus and motivation? And then that's when you do the most important work. And just things like that help create significantly better results and output in the same amount of time that someone else is trying to do 10 different things and they're on their phone and they're scrolling and the whole story.
Yeah, the multitasking thing is, I think, is a myth because your focus is completely scattered. Um, I agree. I think that's top advice. Do you find that people have different times of the day that suit them in terms of their productivity? Some people talk about being night owls, don't they? And or morning birds and all the things.
Yeah, there's fascinating research on this that has been done again and again to understand, what's the maximum capacity of a person in a day? When are we most productive? What they've found is, and this is all explained in the book Deep Work by Cal Newport. What they've found is the average person can't have peak productivity more than 3 to 4 hours a day. And
Ooh.
peak productivity is the hours you're at your best. You can still work 8, 10, 12 hours a day, but you won't get that peak output the full day. So that range typically for people is in the morning, and it's anywhere from like 9 a.m. till noon or 8 a.m. to 11. It's different for every person, but as you mentioned, some people get that later in the afternoon or even at night. So with my clients, we're trying to capture more time and be more productive. We just look at when are you really engaged in your work? When are you energized? When are you not having trouble procrastinating or looking for distractions? And then let's schedule those strategic, important projects and the big creative things that you have to do during that time. For me, it's the morning. I love my work from about 8:30 to 11:30, and then I hit a wall. And what happens after that peak productivity, when you've had huge output, is usually a crash. And that's when people
Mm.
stop for lunch or you go for coffee. A lot of people, unfortunately, have been taught in offices and that you just got to push through and sit at the desk and bang your head and drink another coffee. And I tried that in an office and I struggled with it. And since I now am my own boss, I've built in recovery time in my day. So I go for a walk, I take a nice lunch, I have no screens. And then when I come back, 1 o'clock, whatever time it is, I'm actually ready to re-engage and be more productive again.
Jordan, I love what you said about building in recovery time. I feel like that's permission for everyone to kind of take the time because there is some, particularly people who have come from corporate world, because I remember this, there was some sort of weird unspoken kudos, I don't know if that's the right word, for not having your break. And that piece like you were talking about powering through and just trying to kind of like keep going. And it's almost like in some I'm sure it's not the case in all cultures in different organizations, but it not being frowned upon, but like you've got to rush to take your break so you can just kind of crack on with the work rather than recognizing actually love that recovery time. So
It's a great, yeah, it's a great paradox that you actually have to slow down to speed up. You have to take time away to come back better. And I believe it's important to have that recovery time in your work day, in your work week, but also in your year. I just got home from a 2-week vacation, and it never feels like the right time to take a vacation from your business. And it's very hard when you are your business.
Mm,
But I took that time, and this week I'm back bursting with energy, so ready to go. And that to me is the key. You gotta be okay with slowing down if you're gonna continue to push long term.
so good, so good. I always used to say to people, yeah, the time when anyone says I can't take a break now, it's like you really need a break now. If that those words are coming out of your mouth, now is the time to take a break. You've actually got to do that. That's so
Exactly.
good. Oh, you've touched on some of this. So, let me know if there's any more that you'd love to add to this about this piece of, because we talked about like having the balance within the day. But overall, how do you balance both your business and your life? Because there are these competing demands, not only with your own desires, but family members and all the other things.
To me, balance is there's no hard line on what balance is. It's different for every person, and it's also different for me at any given time. But the key when I feel in balance is I feel like I have enough time for all the things that matter to me. So I have enough time to exercise, to see my friends, to grow my business, and to enjoy my life separately from all those other things. And if I'm out of balance, it means I'm sacrificing the important things for one of them. So maybe my work is taking too big of a amount of my time, or my social life at other times. So what I've done over the last 7 years is I've really worked hard to learn what works for me and then put boundaries and rules in place to protect that ideal balance. So I've got my schedule with hard blocks on when I start work and when I end work, and I never compromise on that because there will always be more work tomorrow. So I'll come back for it. And if I didn't get to it today, it wasn't important enough to me. So I don't start work till 8 a.m. and I don't work past 4 p.m. And often I stop more like 2 p.m. Um, that's one really important one, just the amount of hours I work. Another is never working on weekends because I believe, as we talked about, recovery is so important. And those people who push through weekends, they're just constantly burning out and they're not recharging, which is so important. Other ones I set are I don't have an alarm in the morning because I found that waking up to an alarm was so jarring and it pulled me out of my flow. So I wake up naturally and I enjoy the first hour of the day to really connect, go for a walk, do a stretch, read, whatever it is. That helps me start my day in the mindset that I want to have. And then other things would be, taking holidays on a quarterly basis, getting away once a month, different things like that I've learned over the years help me feel like I can continue to work at this pace endlessly,
Mm.
which is what's most important.
So true, that space that you're talking about away from the sort of office hours, as it were, it being so important, because I've certainly recognized that when I have the space, that's actually where my best ideas come through. And actually, even it could be driving somewhere where, you drive going on, I love going on long drives, not having the music on and just allowing the space, because in the space comes the creativity is allowed to come through. I think that's, yeah, just beautiful to be able to have that. It's the relationship with your discipline and being able to be that disciplined to stick to the rules that and the guidance that you've set yourself. Because I see that a lot with clients is as they're looking to grow their business. It's like, what is your relationship with discipline? And being able to honor your word in knowing that you're going to do this, that, and the other, and not to get distracted. I think it's a key thing that often people don't think about, but just love how you have taken care of it.
Yeah, it's a practice. It takes time. And like I said, I've been working at this for quite a while. It all started for me when I was younger. I had a corporate job. It was a really good job and a great company, but I was traveling for work 2 to 3 weeks a month, flying all over North America. And I was constantly jet lagged, sleeping in hotels, and I really wore down. And I burnt out to the point of I had insomnia and like really got into a difficult place. So coming out of that, it became really clear to me I have to be better at protecting my energy and my time. And that's where I say I started building my business around that versus starting my business and doing it at all costs and then hoping I could, recreate my life later. What I've seen is, unfortunately, so many business owners start their business because of a similar experience. They're in a corporate job or a hard job. They don't like what they're doing. They have a bad boss, whatever it is, and they want more freedom. They want more independence. They want to earn what they deserve, all these different beautiful visions. But then they actually create the total opposite once they start their business. And it's like I laugh, but it's hard. It's really a hard place to be. They end up working harder than they were before for less money with no boundaries. And they all believe, someday I'll buy back my time, I'll buy back my freedom, and
Mm.
it'll all be worth it then. I just I can't live that way. And my belief is if you build your work around the life you want to live and you're energized for your work and you enjoy your life, you'll be better in both and you'll have more success.
So true, so true. Oh, I love it. How I know that you have personally experienced this yourself as well. How has we talk about, the things that make a difference for us in terms of having more success in life. How has coaching made the biggest difference in your life?
Coaching has been like transformational and fundamental in making me who I am today. I've been coaching business owners for 7 years, but I've also been receiving coaching for that whole time. And I when I started coaching, I had strengths, but I really avoided my weaknesses. And I had fears that I believed were true and real blockers that I would never overcome. Speaking publicly, posting on social media about myself, starting a business, all these things. And through coaching, I was able to let go of those fears, push through those blockers, and really take huge steps towards my dreams so that today I'm living a life that's unrecognizable from what I even thought possible a few years ago.
Oh, I love it. I just love it when we can look back and see what we've essentially reinvented ourselves, haven't we? Where we've literally been able to kind of change the trajectory of our lives by the power of, reinventing ourselves and changing our consciousness and being able to really reap the benefits of coaching. That's just absolutely incredible. There's been so much that you've shared. Just to kind of wrap up, what would you say are the three tips that you would want entrepreneurs that are listening to walk away with?
Yeah, with my clients, when we're starting on this path and trying to take them from overwhelmed to optimized and balanced, we start with first, what's your personal definition of success? What does a beautiful, fulfilling life look like for you? And the clearer you are on that, the easier it is to say no to things that don't get you there. So if it's easy to chase finances and possessions and material things, but those things aren't going to fulfill you long term, then you're building your life and your business the wrong way. So that's number one is really get clear on what's your personal definition of success. And the best exercise that helps people get there is imagine you're 70, 80 years old, lived this amazing life, and you're looking back on your life. What are you happy about? What are you proud of? What's fulfilling to you? That's how you identify your personal definition of success. Second one, as I've already said, is set clear priorities. And those priorities should help you fulfill that definition of success. So I really try to keep it slim. So, three in business, what are the top three most important things you can be doing in your business to move it forward? And that's your strategy for growth. And then in your personal life, what are the three most important things that you want to contribute to focus your time and your energy on? When you have those in place, everything else becomes easier because you don't chase as many distractions, you don't say yes to as many things. And that's how you can go to working a few less hours every week because you can look at your calendar and say, this isn't contributing to my top priorities, and this thing is actually derailing them. So I'm definitely going to clear that away. And so that goes hand in hand, setting your personal vision for success, setting your top priorities. And then number three, own your schedule, create a schedule that balances what you want in your work and the results you want to achieve with what you want in your life and how you want to wake up and live each day.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. That's such practical stuff that people can implement straight away. Hugely valuable. Thank you so much. I know that everyone's going to be wanting to know how they can stay in touch with you. Where do you hang out, Jordan? Where can people find you?
Sure. So I'm on LinkedIn each day. That's where I share my ideas, I share thoughts and training and lessons on there. So it's under Jordan Tait. And if you search Jordan Tait Business Coach, should be the first one there. I'd love to connect. Second, my website, www.theintentionalbusiness.ca, which is .canada. And on my website, I've got some really good free resources for anyone who's interested in taking steps forwards on this. So I've got an exercise for how do you create that ideal week? How do you set those boundaries between your work and your life? And I've also got a 30-minute training on priorities and boundaries and your schedule and productivity that will help you take control of your time. So those are all there for free on the website.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. And we'll pop the links below the recording so that everyone can find them
Perfect.
as well. Thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and knowledge with everybody. It's hugely valuable. And I think everyone's just probably walking away feeling like that their overwhelm is just melting away because they can implement these strategies. It's really phenomenal. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Jordan.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. I really enjoyed the conversation.
Me too. And thank you everyone who's joined us and listened in. We hope that this has served you. Please do come and say hello. Let us know that you checked out the episode. Tag us on social media and tell everybody what your takeaways were. And we can carry on the conversation. Until next time, sending you all lots and lots of love. Bye-bye. Thanks for listening to the Infinite Prosperity Podcast. And if you like what you've heard and want to know more, please go to louisahavers.com. We just appreciate you so much. So thank you for listening and hanging out with us. If there's anything that we can do for you, you can email us at louisa@louisahavers.com. Let my team know if you have any ideas for shows that you'd love to hear or topics you want me to talk about. Really looking forward to hearing from you. All right, that is it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for today. Looking forward to connecting with you again. Until next time, namaste.